everyone, it's Gordo here from Gordo's Games, and we're back with some Digimon content. So today I'm doing a deck profile with one of my teammates, Tawmo, who came first place at DigiFest, running blue hybrids. So me and a few of the team members went. It was a very good day overall, great first IRL event to go to, and I'm happy to say the person won was a part of my team. The only person I lost to for the day, so I'll take that as a big result. So without further ado, if you do like the content, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications so you know when this content goes live for you. Without further ado, let's get into the profile with Tawmo waiting for us now. Okay, so Tawmo, first of all, congratulations on the DigiFest event, first IRL event, first big winner for across the team as well.
Thank you very much.
How are you feeling?
I was pretty pleased with the event. I didn't really think I'd win it until it was the final turn of the final game. So it never really dawned on me up until that point. But it was a really good time overall.
That's what I like to
Very
hear.
happy to now have every printable version of the Lithmon in existence.
exactly. And what did you take for the day? As if we don't already
Uh,
know.
Surprisingly, I took Blue Hybrid, which I'll try and run through the boring stuff quickly because I'm sure by now absolutely everyone's sick of hearing different Blue Hybrid profiles.
Yep, doesn't take anything
But
away from the fact you took
yeah,
it to first place. That takes the pilot into the main
yeah.
part. So if you want to take us through the deck itself, then your side deck, and we'll go from there. All
So
yours.
first, I ran 4 Upamon and 1 Kiara. 5 eggs is important because chances are you're gonna hit the foe. Upamon is specifically for more aggressive plays. I'm planning to be swinging constantly, really. I don't really care too much if my Digimon dies. Chances are I'm going to be drawing off this anyway. Kiaramon means that Digimon has to sit there for a while, and in a mirror, it's never going to resolve. It will always be trashed. So I was leaning a lot more heavily to a more rookie rush sort of variant than anything that went tall, because chances are I was going to be facing things that would either blow me up before I get there, suspend me and be over me, uh, remove my DP and kill me, or just trash the sources. I didn't really expect in this meta things to be sticking around a lot, so I went for just the moment just the egg that would do something the turn I got the Digimon out.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
So for rookies, I played 4 of the BT4 Strabimon. Simple enough on play, reveal top 3, add a add a Digimon with hybrid and or a blue tamer. Uh, does what it does says on the tin, absolutely fine. Now, unlike a lot of other people, I actually ran 4 Sayakamon and 4 Madoki Betamon. These are the only blue rookies I had. That's all the blue rookies I needed. Chances are I would open at least one every game. If not, Mulligan existed, which was nice. But being able to have a memory blocker or a reduction blocker on turn 1 or 2 completely shut down any kind of pressure that any other hybrid decks could put out. This completely stops green, more or less. Or like it would force them to pass their turn over to me, and if they're doing that, chances are I'm going to be getting rid of their JP source, meaning they don't have piercing. Simple as that. This memory gain's really important. Pokemon does it. Majority of stuff in purple does it. Yellow can do it with Blinding Ray, etc. Like they're just too good to not run 4 of each in a meta where so much of it relies on things that these two can block.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. I've seen people trying various different rookies. I mean, I took slightly different myself with the 2 extra Strabbies. You don't need it, so I agree with that. They are literally only rookies you need.
For the 4 lineup, I took 1 Lobomon, 4 Kuma, and 4 Korikaku. No one's going to be surprised about 4 of each of these. Kuma's brilliant. You get the trash off anything. You can do it off a Digimon. You can do it off of any tamer. Korikaku, it's just off of the hybrid or off of a Tommy specifically that you get the stun. But there's nothing to say that you can't go Korikaku on a Kuma to stun something, to Korikaku on that Korikaku, stun something else. And even if you've got a Tommy underneath that, you go Beowulf, swing, get the Korikaku back, you stun a third thing. It's ridiculous. This card is absolutely broken.
Oh yeah, it's the hands down the best card in the deck.
Like anything that allows me to control how much memory I'm giving my opponent as well. Because this card in itself, I can put it on, say a Madoki or a Sayako for free, specifically free, not for 0 cost. To put them at 1 if I'm on 2 memory. I can put it over just any old Tamer for 2. I can put it over this for 1. It just, even if I'm not stunning something, being able to memory block people this format is very important. Because a lot of the time, the Tamers they're playing out aren't necessarily going to be Tamers that give them memory to start their turn. Now, a lot of decks only run 8s. I run the Lobomon as a 9th. This is a flex spot, really. It came up maybe twice, but most of the time I would have one of these in hand instead, and I'd obviously rather go into one of these than this.
Yeah, I think it
Considering,
came up in the match against me actually, just having last hybrid level 4.
yeah, it was literally a case of drawing into another hybrid and being able to swing.
Yeah.
But in a lot of my matches, I ended up siding this out for some of the stuff I'll cover in a bit. For the 5 lineup, again to no surprise, 4 Beowulfmon. Card's ridiculous. Another like point off the Korikaku. I can evolve it for free. I can evolve it for 1. Being able to choose memory is absolutely fine. I did at one point misplay and evolve into this, making me lose turn because I completely forgot and didn't realize I didn't have a tamer in the stack. It didn't really matter in the end because I was locking them on 1 memory, but it did suck. It stung a little to misplay like that when this was. I think that was during round 5 maybe. But yeah, Beowulf recovers. Well, recurs, doesn't recover. We don't do that here.
No, we do not. I don't
Get,
think that will ever
get
be
your
a blue thing.
Korikakus back. If it survives, then brilliant, because you can just get another thing back from underneath it. Yeah, that's it really. So for 6s, I do not run any Magna. I don't think Magna is quick enough to be useful. I feel like if you're playing that control game, then chances are Magna will either die, your opponent will outpace you, or you're probably just going to lose the sources under the Magna, and therefore it becomes dull, really. It doesn't do anything. So for 6s, I run the Azulon. A lot of other lists do this. It can be played out for 0. It can be played out to gain you memory, if your opponent's sufficiently stunned, which almost happened one game. The cheapest I ever evolved into this for was I evolved it for 5, got 4 memory back, and then did a ridiculous swing in their security. Because I had a Madoki out, the memory gains that I hit in their security didn't do anything. And then my other 6 is a Hexablow. I ummed and ahed about including Hexablow, but it did come up twice throughout the whole tournament. Because yet again, just being able to stun stuff, like, well, it doesn't stun, it just stops them from attacking, was really good. And being able to just have another way to, like, Digisource hate something and trash it a bit more. And then I believe at one point I followed it up with an option card I'll cover in a minute. That was the 6s. Now just to briefly cover the non-blues. 4 Boko. Don't need to explain it. Pretty good card. Ridiculous. Most of the time, if I've gained its memory gain effect once, I was happy to start swinging with it after that. Because chances are, once I've done that, I'm already in a good position. I can swing. If it dies, it dies. If it doesn't die, great. It basically a red mist descends upon people when they see a suspended Pokemon. They will swing into it, even if it's not the right decision. They just want it gone, even if I don't really care about gaining the memory. But yeah, that's all the white Digimon. And then moving on to Tamers. A 1 of Matashita. Again, memory choking people, really important. Being able to play a 2-cost Tamer just like that, really good. Essentially acts as a mini, like, Sora and Joe, just to gain the 1 instead of the 2. Good card. Another thing for them to hit in security that they're going to hate hitting, because it then enables me to go into a hybrid. So for the BT7 Tamers, I'm running 4 Tommy. Tommy's great. Trash a bunch, brilliant. Anyone swings into security that has a stack, they're upset. Wonderful card. The stun effect on top of the other stun effects, ridiculous. You can turn what looks to be a board that will kill you next turn into a board that's going to sit there, and you are going to eat up all that yummy memory with the multiple Sora and Joes you most likely have. Free Davis. Only memory tame. Well, only set to free memory tamer in the deck. You don't really need free. I was umming and ahhing about cutting it down to 2 and maybe having another mat. but I was glad to see it often enough during the tournament
Yeah,
that
I think
like
seeing it in the mirrors, especially if you see a Davis before your opponent, you're in generally a better footing. So I think I felt like three was just the magic number. If I saw anything less, I think I was going to struggle because the amount of people that played around my Sora and Joe for the day was problematic.
hitting this off security and then revealing like top three and getting a hybrid will crush your opponent's spirit because they know full well that's something you're going to be able to swing with next turn and they can't stop it. It's it's funny. And we've already spoken about them. The lovely duo themselves, four of Sora and Joe. Probably the best memory forecast tamer or duo tamer if you want to call them. Um Brilliant. Like the passive effect's great. Start of your turn, gain a bunch of memory. Bunch of people are playing Pokemon and those Pokemon sit there. You're just getting the memory. They may gain two like once or twice. You're getting two every turn unless that Pokemon dies. On top of that, Blue's a deck that could use the second effect of their ability, where you can basically just tap it to get rid of a couple of extra sources, just in case you don't have quite enough removed from, say, the Kumamon or the Tommy, just to enable a stun. You don't really mind about suspending these because you've got some access to so many other tamers. But yeah, that more or less covers the tamers. I did unfortunately have to run a one of pre-release Tommy because I didn't pull full Tommy, which
I think
I'm,
everyone
I'm
was
not.
just chopping and trading cards all day to make sure they had the different rarities sorted
Yeah,
out.
exactly. Uh, but yeah, normally I like to have everything the same rarity, but it was unfortunately not the case this time. So four of Hammer Spark. I I went into the day thinking Hammer Spark's something I would only play when I'm going for game. I came out of the day winning probably three matches alone to just really early on in the game being rude and using like two Hammer Spark in a turn to play a memory tamer like Sora and Joe or Davis just to memory block and to have a tamer out. Because chances are people will play memory blockers. There are a lot of people playing it. A lot of Gazis today, a lot of Midoki Betamons, a couple of Terriermons. Cards like dead in your hand if you leave it there too long. So pulling the trigger on it really good. In my match against you, Gordo, if you remember correctly, I'm pretty sure at one point I triple hammer sparked in one turn, like
Yes, yeah,
really early.
that is right. Yeah, that was the game you sided in, but never sided in. You're right. That was
We'll
that one.
cover that in a minute. Other option, Ice Wall. Card stupid, absolutely stupid. Rarely ever saw it. I saw it once in security, uh, and the opponent already had a memory blocker, so it did nothing. Um, I believe I played it against you at one point because you ice walled me, so I also ice walled you back. Uh, yeah, like it rarely came up, but when it did come up, it was really nice to see. And then my last two options are two copies of Howling Memory Boost. So again, specifically where is it? The Hexablow, like just knocking off that last couple of Digivolution sources and ending my turn on a Howling Memory Boost. I can stun whatever like the last thing they had was. I can just like chip something slightly off just to guarantee that they can't swing next turn. A lot of decks like go into sixes and then can't do anything. In one of my matches, someone played an Ancient Garurumon against me, at which point, because they'd given me four memory off doing that, plus my Sora and Joe because they had a Boko out, I just stunned it. It couldn't do anything for the rest of the game. And I just left it there while I slowly won the game. But yeah, that's it for the main deck. Quickly wrap these up. Now, the side deck was the thing I struggled the most with because I haven't played blue in forever. So it was a bit difficult for me to think about what kind of toolkit stuff blue has access to. So I kept more in the hybrid ballpark. I had a one-off Kendo Garurumon in here. Never started into this. Personally, I don't think I ever would. And I'd like to take it out for something like Aqua Viper. Now that I've been reminded that card exists, because that card's stupid.
Yes, yep. No, that somebody used decided that against me in the blue mirror. It did put a lot of work in.
Two of Dipenmon. You can attest to this card being good. I sided
Um,
this in two of my matches, and yeah, I never saw them in those, but if I did, it would have paid off.
it stalled out our game. I don't think it. Oh, it did help me stall out, but it didn't quite help me bring it back. But I mean, against D Brigade, who I played later in the game, It's in some matchups it's ridiculous, just slowing down any sort of aggro.
The draw definitely doesn't help. Doesn't hurt either. Like
No, massive.
you can, yeah. So worst case scenario, if you have to like hard go into a Dipenmon off of like a hard played hybrid or something, you can recur a lot.
I think I drew 5 against you.
You did, but unfortunately, you didn't have any memory tamers down.
No,
Kept
I had a
getting
single
you.
Davis throughout that entire game.
Next, I've got two of BT4 Beowulf Mon. This card just turns green off. They can't swing through you, and therefore they can't be trashing your stuff fast enough to like pull out the game. Going into this against green literally just means that you can sit there and keep going, swing, swing, swing every turn, and they can do nothing about it. And meanwhile, you're slowly building up your hybrids for your explosive end.
Yeah,
I did also use this against the mirror I started it in, and I used it against I think I started it in during my first match of the day, which was against Purple Yellow, but I don't think I saw it, and in retrospect, it probably wasn't a good idea to start it in there anyway. A one of Hexablow. This was just in case a Zulong wasn't really cutting it, and I felt like I wanted to be more stun heavy. Um, yeah, never really came up. Didn't decide into it either. Right, so onto the options. Two of Rattlestar. A lot of people go wide because they've got the Pokemon, so they don't want to swing with Pokemon, or they've got Pokemon, a memory blocker, and then the thing they are swinging with, which is free, which means you're always bouncing something to the bottom of their deck, and it doesn't matter what it is. Today, well, not today, sorry. During the event, I bounced a Cherubimon, I bounced a Ancient Beetle, I bounced a. I think I bounced an Omnimon Zwart at one point, which was really good. But the point is, even if it wasn't insecurity, it's 5 cost. That's really cheap, especially in a deck where you're more often than not starting turn on 7 memory, because you can play this and it doesn't end your turn. Simple as that. And then the other card that people do that does pretty much the same thing, Absolute Blast. Specifically though, this one is trashing something and then bouncing. So it like you can trash something and then bounce something else. It doesn't have to be the same Digimon, which comes up more often than not. Because I can get rid of, say, the purple Koichi under something and then bounce like something else that they've got, like a memory blocker, and that just pays off. But yeah, that is all for the side deck. I did have a couple of cards that I was going to side, but I'm denied about them. So I had another Lobomon just in case I felt like 10 hybrids was needed. Didn't really happen. I never went into it at all. Same argument for this Kendo Garurumon. I felt that like if I'm going for jamming, I'm just going to go up into BT4 Beowulf anyway. And just having this as a bit of a brick, it doesn't really do much. I mean, yeah, it's another tamer, but not tamer, sorry, another hybrid. But it's basically just Lobomon. That's it.
literally.
Except it costs 3 to evolve from
Yeah,
level 3. Uh, Second Kendo, I knocked this down to 2. I believe I took the Kendo and the Lobo out to put in the Absolute Blast. And yeah, again for Kendo, like it never came up anyway, even running one of it, so I just cut it completely. I was gonna be siding another Azulong to match the other Hexablow, so I could like sort of mix and match my high end. Kind of glad I didn't do that. I know I rarely went into sixes. Chances are I rarely even saw them, to be honest. Did have some occasions where someone had gone sort of high and then hit an Azulong insecurity, which was funny. But other than that, like it doesn't pay off as much as you'd think it would. And if it does pay off during one of your games, your opponent will just start playing around it, which in itself is good. That's mind games, but yeah, it doesn't really come up. And the next card, what is a bit of an IQ test that I almost failed. We have to stop fighting. Giving all my Digimon jamming doesn't matter, not in the slightest.
no, no, yeah, just letting them keep their Digimon is just a bad day.
Like, if I'm going to be playing this, my original thought process was, I have a wide board, I play this, I just swing in with a bunch of stuff, I recur that board. Well, not recur, but like I retain that board, assuming I don't hit options that wipe the board anyway. which I was expecting to see a lot of Schwarzler Hearts, but I only ended up playing against one purple deck and one purple yellow, so it didn't really matter anyway. But yeah, I almost failed this as an IQ test. It's just not it's not a good card. It might have been good before, but it's just not good now.
Yeah, it's not required for blue hybrids. You don't care about things dying as much as you think. Sometimes for the times if you do run Susanos and that, it's not the worst thing in the world. But even that's not needed in this sort of deck. You can finish games before you even get to that point.
So that's pretty much the deck list, including stuff I potentially could have run. Things I would have liked to use, like I've already mentioned, is Aqua Viper. That's a really good card. That's essentially just it. I don't think Magna Garurumon is good enough, unfortunately, like I mentioned. And if I was gonna run that, I would probably have to run some sort of like Koichi package. Or is it Koji?
Koji.
Whichever one Koji. The other blue tamer, and that would mean cutting potentially other tamers or worrying then about really like bricking with tamers.
No, that's reasonable.
Yeah, I could run a Neemon with it in order to just play out the Neemon and then get the tamer out, and then Neemon just sort of sits there. But that's giving my opponent, if I'm in a mirror match, that's giving my opponent more stuff that just doesn't have sources for them to pop off, basically.
No, I think with Magna Garurumon, it just becomes a completely different style of deck. You basically your bottom line changes because you have to make space for your 4-cost strategies to gain your memory back and such. There's just there's a lot of things you have to take into consideration with it. One thing, a couple of things I'll mention as honourable mentions for options. Forbidden Trident is another one.
Yes,
1 cost that you get a double bounce with Beowulf, and also Supreme Cannon. And good against the Cherubi matchup because Bushi's 3k, Cutemon's a 3k, Boko's a 2k. They hit that in the security.
Yeah. I did consider Supreme Cannon, but
that technically is better in the Magna variant because if you get the Magna out and you've got that, it's a 5k limit it goes up to. But 3k isn't bad, not with how small bodies are this meta. But I mean,
it gets rid of all memory blockers, all cost reduction blockers. It gets rid of Bokos. It gets rid of Neemons.
Yeah, imagine if I Supreme Cannon you in our game, you would not be happy.
I would have laughed about it, but in the end, it wasn't rookies I wanted.
No, exactly.
I
but
just kept jabbing you.
Realistically, you had a very good day. You played a cracking event. Obviously, from us, you came top overall. I think majority of the team got the top 32, but you basically had a blinder. I can only say from my side of things,
I dropped 2 games across the whole day.
Exactly, and for myself as captain, it was a pleasure only losing my 1 game to you for the day. So I will take that as a moral victory for myself.
It was very nice to sit next to you in the next round, in the final round afterwards as well.
You mean as I sat there, like, giving you tips before your final round? I was like, just do all these things.
We knew I'd be playing against purple, so I was just showing Gordo my side there, going, so what am I actually siding into here in game 2?
Like, yeah, I'll talk you through it. I gave my as much captain advice as I could, but you played it well. That's the main thing. You piloted it to perfection. You made the right calls. You did the right side. So honestly, couldn't have done any better from my side of things. Anybody would want to give a shout out to for the extra, for the deck itself, ideas, testing, anyone in particular that helped?
So specifically, our Untepid also goes by Hopper. He's the one that like told me repeatedly that he swore by blue this set. So I figured I'd give it a shout.
Just gonna interrupt there slightly for a second. I told him to play blue. It was me that started him off it because I told him not to play red anymore. It wasn't his colour.
Oh, you told Hopper to play.
I told him. I said because he was originally playing red, and I was like, dude, that doesn't suit you. You're not playing as well as you could be. Try blue, and he had a lot better time on blue, and it's doing a lot better for him. So, yeah.
He played DigiFest over in America and came top 32 with blue. He was running the Magna Guru variant though.
Yeah.
Which I didn't. I probably would have ended up playing, but I didn't have all the cards for it because I didn't have enough Kojis.
Yeah, I mean, he went to 2 DigiFest actually. Got top 32, then he got top 16, I think, in one of them.
Nice, yeah.
I think so, but yeah, no, he did take the Magna variant overall.
Yeah, he put me down to it. Winnie and Gordo, I'd like to give a shout out to specifically because they gave me a deadline to decide a deck on because I am notoriously bad for just having a billion decks and then picking one last minute. Instead, this is one that I built 4 days before the event and play tested maybe 4 or 5 times before just taking it to the event and obviously doing really well. My only warm-up game within the within the 48 hours before the event was a best of one against Gruffy, another team member, who I lost to. So, so that ended up paying off quite well. But yeah, shout out to all the Leeds lot as well. I would be like still going there as my locals if I hadn't moved up to Middlesbrough. Haven't got Northeastern people up there yet, but hopefully once I'm a bit more comfortable with the coronavirus situation, I'll be going back to more in person soon. And finally, shout out to Legion, obviously the team that we're all representing. Lovely lot of people. We host a weekly tournament every Monday. It's usually free to play. Occasionally, we offer up prizing, and it'd be lovely to see people turn up, build the community there.
Perfect. And then finally, do you want to just talk us through your 7 rounds, just your matchups, then just give us a glance of what you had to go through for the day?
So very quickly, round one, I went against Purple Cherubimon with a yellow base. I won that game 2-0. Game one, I just stunned. He got Cherubi out. I stunned it. His Elecmons, they were stunned the whole time. Eventually, he just had to. I think he was only running 2 copies of Deathclaw, so eventually he drew into Deathclaw, used it on his Cherubi, but he hadn't loaded his grave up in well enough because I hadn't been letting him swing to start discarding stuff because things weren't dying. So I think he had to play out a Recovery Salamon and a Cutemon, I think, and that was it. So I just ended up winning that game by just swinging because it doesn't really matter to me. Game two, I believe I sided out Azulamon for a Hexablow. Uh, I think I went into the Hexablow on turn 3, meaning that any rookies he played out couldn't do anything. He also had no way of getting rid of a level 6 because there's only removable Schwarzler has. And Deathclaw, of course, which is 4 lower. Yeah, like he got the Cherubi out, but I just stunned it. And if he ever got rid of it with Deathclaw, the stuff he brought out wouldn't be able to attack. So I just slowly poked him for game. Very easy. Round two, I played against Pure Green Hybrid. Bit of a scary game one where they had the advantage, but I opened with a Sayako and Raising and a hard played Sayako, but no hybrids in hand. They ended up playing, I think it was a Terriermon straight out onto the field. Uh, Terriermon here, and a 4-cost Tamer, which gave me enough memory to play a Tamer, and they couldn't reduce. So it just became like a war of like the cost blockers. I won of it, of course. Game two, I took out my 6s, put in the BT4 Beowulfmon. My opening hand, I had 3 Tamers, a BT4 Beowulfmon, and a BT7 Beowulfmon. Mulligan that away, then had Memory Blocker, a BT4 Beowulfmon again, luckily, and a hybrid and a couple of Tamers. Just played those out, got the Beowulfmon out, and just started poking them for game, and they couldn't do anything. Simple as that.
Very nice, very
Um,
nice.
yeah. Round 3 was against Blue Hybrid with the Ancient Gru that I mentioned earlier. Game 1, I just out-tempoed him by having my memory reduction blockers out, and he could not react to that in time. Yeah, just simple as just swinging. I think in that game, I didn't even memory gain from my Pokemon once, but I'd played 2, one of which survived 2 checks, which really came in handy. Game 2, sided out a Zulongmon for a Hexablow again. But surprisingly, mid-game, because in game 1, I'd only ever seen him play rookies and a couple of hybrids. But game 2, he climbed all the way to an Ancient Garurumon, which I just because he gave me 4 memory with it, and then I had 2 copies of Sora and Joe. I just gained another 4, and then I just stunned it because I had enough to like climb rookie hybrids out, stunned it. It couldn't do anything, and I just kept poking him down for game. Round 4 was one of my first game losses. Game 1, he just kept playing rookies, and he beat me. My security was nothing but hybrids. There's nothing I could have done. There was no tamers in there, no options in there, nothing. Game 2, I'm pretty sure I sided in 2 copies of Absolute Blast and 2 copies of Dipenmon because he played so many rookies. And yeah, I didn't see the Dipenmons. I saw 1 Absolute Blast and it bounced. I think it bounced to Korikaku. That was it. But I just outpaced him. Game 3, I didn't change my sides, and uh, just won really. Like I just had the lines and he didn't. It's that simple. Round 5 marked the start of my climb, which ended up being ridiculous in retrospect. But I was against Christmas. So Christmas, green, red. Game 1, they knew I was playing blue, and their answer to that was just be greedy. And by turn 4, they had a Rhino Kabuterimon out with no Ancient Beetle in hand, and they used 2 memories to just go double Atomic Inferno and just swung into that security. They hit nothing, just hybrids again. Ridiculous. I was really salty about that for the rest of the day. Uh, yeah, they won that game. Nothing really I could have done. Game 2, I took out the 6s, put in the Beowulfs. I believe I put in the Rattlestars. Can't remember what I took out though. I think it was 1 Lobo and I think 1 Stravimon. But yeah, managed to get into the BT4 Beowulf really soon. Once I had done that, they had to either swing at my security or swing at nothing because I was not giving them the option to go to anything else. I just kept playing Tamers and I had something in raising waiting, and that was it. I just waited. And the moment I could go for game, I just did it. Simple as. Game 3, exactly the same, except I didn't see a BT4 Beowulf one until roughly mid game, which was a bit shaky. But I'm pretty sure they didn't see any JPs until mid game as well. So they weren't getting any piercing regardless.
Very nice.
Took the win on that one, and that person ended up coming 3rd overall. So again, like the start of my climb. Round 6, oh captain, my captain. I played against our friend Gordo here.
Yes, you did.
Game 1, I believe we were just swinging like madmen.
Yeah, that was the more back and forth game, I think.
Yeah, I think I came down to 2 security, but my security ended up just being slightly better than yours because you were hitting Tamers in mine, and
I think you
in
sparked
yours,
me twice from security in the first game,
yeah,
and you got tamed. Your incremental value in security was ridiculous. I think I hit a Tom and I hit a Sora and Joe, and a spark, at least 1
yep.
spark. So it was yeah, and mine was very little outside of that.
I think there was a Davis in there, and I think there was there might have been a spark, but I think I had a memory blocker out.
Yeah. So I mean,
Yeah.
it was very the security did not go in my favor for that one. So it was just kind of rush versus rush, and your rush beat my rush.
Game 2 was the funny one though, where we had a board state where I had 2 Madoki Betamon, 2 Sayakamon, a Bokomon, a Strabimon, and I would just keep raising. But unfortunately, you had the Daipen one,
Yeah, I sided
which
2 in just to see what it would do, and it sat there and did what it was supposed to do. But
it was
unfortunately, I couldn't
absolutely ridiculous.
establish back after that. I had 1 Davis to your multiple Soras and your Matt and your Davis. I couldn't have the time to kind of recur out any more Tamers without passing turnover.
It was a bit of a slog, but eventually I just had enough memory and enough hybrids to just push the game.
Yeah, I think that one off Lobo one actually came up in the end because I think you'd been through majority level 4 hybrids.
Yeah, because I think you'd hit 1 or 2 in security,
Yeah,
and it was starting to look a bit shaky because
Diving
I
wasn't going
did,
anywhere.
yeah, exactly, and I couldn't really do anything about it. Uh, but yeah, it kind of sucked because like we were the only like Legion v Legion match in the whole day, like within our team, and there was a fair few members of our team there. So
Like I
it
said,
was,
I was happy for it. I knew it was going to happen. As soon as it started getting up to the top end, I knew it was going to be me versus you, so don't even worry about it. It was a good game.
mm.
Um, and you did, obviously going up off the back of beating me, you went on to win, so that's the main thing.
So round 7, I played against Lilith Loop. If anyone deserves a foil stamp Lilith, it was this player by far. Getting Lilith Mon that far, deck is good. It has lost MDF unfortunately, but evidently it still puts in work. This person had gone 6 rounds without losing, so they must have been doing something right the whole time.
Well, yeah, on the note of people playing Lilith Loop, personality at the moment, Fenton actually took Lilith Loop to London DigiFest and came 3rd as well. He played, I think he played about 6 blue hybrids. And so he knows that matchup well, and actually does well. I played against him the other day just to see what it was like, and honestly, it's pretty nutty when it goes off. You might want to give it a try. It is pretty nutty. Just whilst you got the
Definitely
Eismon
interesting to
package in
see,
there.
yeah. Yeah, the Eyes One package is what ended up losing my opponent there in the game 2 during our match. So
Didn't they bottom deck 4 scatter modes?
I believe what they bottom decked was 3 scatter mode, 2 of the regular.
Okay, you
That
just
was their
keep
opening
that.
hand.
You just keep that if that's the case.
Yeah,
Even
and
if
they had
you,
chosen to go first. I think everyone I've spoken to uh just unilaterally agrees that they should have just kept that and hard played the scatter mode. Because the scatter mode dies, you're drawing, then you're discarding like 2 Eyes One to play out 2 Eyes One.
yeah,
If you draw a rookie at any point, you can go rookie and then up into the scatter mode anyway, and you can just keep milling through your deck. You've got a lot of like filter power there.
yeah.
But
I guess the logic to them was if you're playing against blue, how likely is that to die? Not very likely, I guess. So
exactly,
it
they
was
played
a
it out.
50-50 way up.
I was just gonna stun it, to be fair.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
exactly. You don't need to kill it. You can just
yeah,
literally keep it there and feed your memory. That's what blue does.
yeah, yeah. Game like you had already given me the advice of just swing, just come out the gate swinging. So that was a game where after I played the Pokemon, I was just swinging with it. If I got the memory gain off it, brilliant. If I didn't, whatever, I'm swinging with it. They weren't playing any blockers as far as I'm aware. I didn't see any game. But yeah, game was fair, like fast enough. I believe they only hit my security twice. Once was into uh a Sora and Joe, and then next was a Tommy, so I stripped their sources. And at the start of my turn, my Sora and Joe obviously gained me the memory. Uh, and I just went into a Korikaku off the Tommy to stun the Cerberusmon, and that kind of sat there the whole time. I think it forced him to go into a Lilithmon so he could actually do stuff with it, so it had sources. And he did go into a Zwart, but he went into it with full cost, giving me a lot of memory, and I just won with hybrids. Nothing he could do. Game two, like we said, he mulliganed away multiple copies of Eismon. Not in like, I you need them to keep tempo, and if you lose them, you lose them. Uh, but yeah, he just, I believe he did go into 2 rookies though, so you have all one there, played one out. But he was just swinging with them, and I'm not sure why. I think he wanted to fill his trash so he could start activating his jack raids, which he did manage to do at one point. And the final turn of the game seemed to last about 5 minutes, where it was him trying to do mental math. And if he did hit the exact cards, he could have got game two. But I think he needed to draw his. I think he needed to draw specifically a regular Eismon, and it was roughly a 1 in 30 something chance of him hitting it because he bottom decked the rest of them. And it was just a point where he either swings over my stuff and I go up into a hybrid anyway. He swings into my security and potentially hits memory stuff, which he did. But he did some Deathclaw shenanigans to delete a bunch of stuff, gain some memory, do some like fancy stuff. He did go all out and he did come close, but yeah, eventually it was just my game.
And it
And
was a great finish to the day.
mm, and I've come away with 2 very fancy cards, which have immediately gone into top loaders and are probably looking very blurry on screen right now.
And he is open to offers, but probably won't part with them unless the offer
Um,
is like a new house. Because basically, the madness that's going on with these cards is about there.
mm. I'm not too like attached to just a regular Fest stamp, but the winners
Technically,
one
that
I
should have
think
been
I'm gonna
mine.
keep.
I'm standing by the fact of top four should have got a regular stamp one. I stand by it. I don't know why I didn't, because they called. The worst part was on the day is they called out from 32 to fifth to say they prize him, and then they
Yeah,
said
and
top
then top
four to
four.
one, but I didn't get one. Why call me out separate?
I understand like first, second, and third potentially having different prize cards, like they did with the finals and stuff, where it's a completely different card. But if it's the exact same stamp, I kind of feel like top four should have just got it.
I agree, but I don't mind. At the end of the day, it was a great event. It was very well ran by Dice Cup. Big shout out to them. It was great to see all of the Legion boys together. I mean,
Yeah, we went fully expecting the tournament to go on for like potentially 9 hours due to like people going into time, potential hiccups with the matching, but there was not a single issue with anything between rounds really, and we had a full half-hour lunch break as well.
yeah, no, it was a very smooth
Yeah.
day. there we have it. So that is Tawmo with his first place blue hybrid deck on the Digi Fest at Nottingham on behalf of Legion. So very well done for you, Tawmo. Well played, great player, great pilot, great teammate, and all around just a nice guy. So if you do enjoy this content, if you do want to see more of these, you come by the Gordo's Game server. We do Monday locals, as Tawmo mentioned earlier. But we also do some friendly games and pick-me-ups here and there, so don't forget to reach out for us. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications so you know when this great content goes live for you.